Thank you so much for joining today to learn how you can save money when you electrify your ride. My name is Annika Osborne. I'm with Cool the Earth, an environmental nonprofit with the mission to reduce carbon emissions and air pollution. So while we are big fans of walking, biking, public transit, and carpooling, especially in electric cars, with our Ride and Drive collaboration, we work to advance a rapid and equitable transition to electric transportation. So I'd like to thank the County of Marin for sponsoring this webinar and MCE for their sponsorship of our February EV discount campaign, which is the focus of this webinar. So here's the agenda for the webinar. We'll talk a little bit more about Ride and Drive Clean, a little more about Cartelligent, more about the EV discount campaign, how much money you can save, the different savings, as well as incentives, which can be stacked, the different trims available, and then next steps. So by the end of this program, you guys will be all set. You'll know all about the EV discount campaign and how to get started. Launched in 2019, the Ride and Drive Clean. Ride and Drive Clean is a collaboration of nonprofits, agencies, cities, counties, schools, and businesses with the goal of greatly reducing carbon emissions by advancing the adoption of electric vehicles. We're here to help make your next car an EV or an e-bike. So we realized early on that one of the biggest barriers to going electric is the initial cost of buying or leasing an EV. So we teamed up with Cartelligent, which is a highly regarded car concierge service. They've been around for over 20 years. Since they work with multiple dealerships, they're able to negotiate special pricing on certain models at certain times of the year. So we partner with them to offer EV discount campaigns during these times. And we hope to do these quarterly with different EVs each time. So with Cartelligent, we have helped hundreds of people save thousands on EVs over the past 4 years. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Jessica Karstens from Cartelligent. Take it away, Jessica.
Hey, nice to meet everybody. So I'm Jessica, I'm with Cartelligent. And what we do is we help people buy or lease new cars. We've been doing it for 24 years. I'd like to say we're pretty good at it. As Annika mentioned, we work with dealers throughout the state. And what's awesome about this partnership is that we've been working together for 4 years, like Annika said.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, somebody's not on mute. Annika, are you able to put people on mute?
Yeah, I'm trying to put people on mute right now. If you are not on mute, can you please put yourself on mute?
And what's exciting right now is there are so many great EVs on the market. When I got my last car 3 years ago, there was pretty much the Bolt and Tesla and the Nissan Leaf. There really weren't a lot of options. And it feels like every other day, there's another new awesome choice come on the market. And so this picture here, this is a real picture. I took this outside of our office in Sausalito. This is somebody who had a Tesla trading it in for a brand new BMW iX. And it just shows the range and the number of offerings that are available. What's great about this program is Cartelligent, like I said, we've been doing this for 24 years. We normally charge a service fee. We waive that service fee for this. This is something that we're super passionate about. Both myself and our founder are really excited about helping people choose electric cars. And so we have pre-negotiated deals, and we're able to make it really easy for people who are interested in saving money on a new EV. I thought this was a great little chart. Obviously, there's a lot of detail to it, but basically what this says and what I will attest to is that if you're looking to drive a car, leasing an electric car is pretty much the cheapest option that's out there for a number of reasons. Number one is there's a lot of demand for EVs in California, but there's not a lot of demand for EVs in other parts of the country. And so there's great manufacturer incentives and great manufacturer deals to move EVs. And so we're able to take advantage of those. Leasing an EV is great because you can take advantage of the $7,500 federal tax credit on almost all cars, regardless of which car it is, regardless of where it's made, regardless of where the battery is made, regardless of your income, all of that great stuff. You're able to take advantage of it more. And the third reason we recommend leasing is the EV technology is increasing at such a rapid rate. If you think about what the range of cars were 3 years ago, you're looking at a bunch of cars that got about 100 miles of range. And now you've got a bunch of cars that have 300 miles of range. And the rapidly evolving technology for batteries, for EVs, just means that in 3 years, there's going to be even more options available. So I personally lease an ID4. And when I did the math compared to my old ICE car, I'm actually saving $40 a month, even though my payment's a little bit higher, because I'm not spending money on gas. I'm not spending money on oil changes. I'm not spending money on getting it smog certified. So really exciting stuff. And what is an EV discount campaign? So again, pre-negotiated prices on EVs that we're selling a lot of. ID4 is one of our top selling cars in 2023. Hyundai Ioniq 5 is a fantastic car. We've been selling a lot of those. These are cars that people want, and we're getting great pricing on them. And like I said, we're waiving our service fee, which is normally $595. Hyundai Ioniq 5. So funny quick story. My brother calls me 3 weeks ago and he says, hey, I want to get a used car. What can I get? Long story short, we go through the math. We look at it together. He's leasing a Hyundai Ioniq 5. He got an amazing payment. It's got really great safety features. One of the things he was concerned about is his 16-year-old daughter starting to drive this car. And this is a car that he really feels safe with. So the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is a car that I highly recommend. We're offering, Cartelligent has negotiated $1,500 in savings off MSRP, which is a great price. Plus you can get a $7,500 lease rebate or a manufacturer $7,500 purchase finance rebate that does not have any income qualifications or any of that stuff. So everybody, regardless of how you're paying, can save $9,000 off this car.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
There's a ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
Kia Niro EV, which is the lowest price car on this list, $8,000 in potential savings. So we've negotiated $500 off MSRP, plus there's a $7,500 lease rebate. Or this is one where they're not offering the full $7,500 on a cash or finance. There's a $5,000 finance rebate. There's nothing available for cash. So this is another example of leasing being a great opportunity to save. Even if you're looking at buying the car, we can help you with that. Leasing can still be a great option. You can just buy it out at any point during the lease. Volkswagen ID4, again, I'm biased. This is what I drive. This is one of the best priced cars on the market today. Tons of tech, great range. I think Volkswagen, Hyundai, I'm not sure about Kia. I'll come with 2 to 3 years of free charging. The Volkswagen I know comes with 3 years free charging at Electrify America, which is what I do myself every weekend. I take it to my local Safeway. I charge for half an hour. That's enough for me to drive all week long without paying a dime. And the Volkswagen ID4 is a little bit tricky in terms of the rebates and the pricing. If you want to go to the next slide, we're offering 4 trims. There's more than 4 trims. We're offering 4 trims as part of this campaign. These are 4 trims that there's great inventory on, that the manufacturer is incentivizing and the dealer is incentivizing to move. And so there's slightly different pricing. It's a little bit confusing, but we can help you talk it through. And the nice thing is that there's more rebates on the higher priced car. So you can get a higher priced car for not that much more than a lower priced car. It's a really great opportunity to get some extra bells and whistles on your new car. Volvo XC60 Recharge. This is the only plug-in hybrid that we're offering in this campaign. So this is not a full EV. This is a plug-in hybrid, but it has a really nice range of full EV. And what's nice about a plug-in hybrid is if you're new to EVs or if you have some long commutes that you need to do sometimes, it gives you a little bit of flexibility. So you can do, my husband does 95% of his driving in a plug-in hybrid without any gas whatsoever. And then if we do a longer road trip, we don't have to worry about stopping for gas. So it can be a nice compromise depending on your driving situation.
So, Jessica, so I'm gonna take it over from here and talk a little bit about the incentives. And then Jessica will be back for the Q&A. I've been trying to answer a bunch of questions in the chat, Jessica, and there may be some more that are directed toward you if you want to take a look at those. Okay, so there are currently 4 types of incentives that can help you save up to $7,500 or more when you buy certain EVs. So additional grants and rebates are available for both new and used cars for people who qualify through their income and residence. But we won't be going into great detail on those today, but you can ask me questions about them during the Q&A because I know about those incentives. So the federal tax credit is now called the Clean Vehicle Credit. It has been updated for 2024. There are new qualifications for this tax credit, which we will, and there's also a tax credit for pre-owned EVs for 30% of the cost up to $4,000. But the pre-owned EV has to be $25,000 or less. There are a few restrictions on this, and there are some more stringent income qualifications for this. Let's see, there's also the commercial credit may be applied when you lease an EV. So the good news for these 3 options is that the tax credit is now available as an upfront rebate, and you don't need tax liability to qualify. So that's new in 2024, really good news. The downside of this is there have been a few extra requirements put on this tax credit. So now fewer cars qualify. So out of the 4 cars that are on this part of the EV discount campaign, the Volkswagen ID4 does qualify for purchase. So you can get that $7,500 upfront as a rebate and use that as a down payment for that particular car. The others all of the 4 cars on the discount campaign qualify for the new commercial EV rebate. So, as through the lease. So the dealership will pass it along to you when you get your lease pricing. Let's see. So depending on where you live and who provides your electricity, there may be additional utility and CCA incentives. PG&E, if you get your electricity bill from PG&E, they have a pre-owned EV rebate for $1,000 up to $4,000, depending upon your income. And if you're in the MCE service area, they have an EV instant rebate for $3,000 for a new EV, and $3,500 for a new EV and $2,000 for a pre-owned EV. And if you'd like to install a home charger, there's also a tax credit for 30% of the cost of the install and the hardware, up to $1,000. New this year, though, the location of your residence determines if you qualified for this credit. Finally, as you've just learned, our February EV discount campaign offers additional stackable discounts. And this savings calculator is a great way to find out exactly which incentives you qualify for. So if you go to Plugstar incentives, you can put in your household income, how many people live in your household, and your zip code, and it'll tell you exactly which rebates you qualify for. So in Contra Costa, Marin, Napa, and Solano counties, MCE is our local clean electricity provider. They generate renewable electricity, mostly from solar and wind, and then PG&E delivers that electricity to your home. That's why you receive a PG&E bill. So MCE is sponsoring our EV discount campaign, and I wanted to share this additional rebate opportunity for people who live in the MCE service area. So this rebate can be stacked with the discounts in our campaign for an additional $3,500 of savings. But I do want to let you know there is an income qualification for this rebate. So not everybody will qualify, but many people will. So again, wherever you live, I recommend you can use the Plugstar savings calculator to find out exactly how much you can save with incentives in addition to these February discounts. So what are our next steps? So for more EV questions, I noticed some of the questions, this is a pretty brief, we're not going into like major EV basics or like charging and things like this in this webinar, but we do, every time we do an EV 101, We have a couple of those coming up in March. We also have two Save Money with an EV webinars coming up next week and the following week. So in those, we'll do a more thorough like EV basics if you're new to EVs. You can sign up on the Ride and Drive Clean website for our EV discount campaign. And Scott, do you want to throw that link into the chat so it's accessible for everyone right now?
I just threw in 3 links in the
Oh,
chat.
you did. Awesome.
The Plugstar link, the MCE Clean Energy
Perfect.
EV rebate, and the Ride and Drive Clean EV discount.
Great. So if you want to take part in this EV discount campaign now in February, or be alerted to future EV discount campaigns that we're going to be having, you'll want to go to this last link that Scott just threw in, the discount campaign. You can review the cars and then you sign up. And once you sign up, you can either, let people, let Cartelligent know that you're ready to, talk to them about an EV, or just stay on the list so that you'll be alerted when our next EV discount campaign comes along. Let's see. So we're hoping to have, another EV discount campaign in April. We'll be doing some in-person Ride and Drive Clean events, some EV and e-bike shows throughout the Bay Area. As I mentioned, we have our weekly EV 101 and 102 webinars, and sign up for our mailing list. So you'll know about, these great deals that we're going to have and any new information about what's going on locally where you live. So I would like to thank you all for attending this program tonight, wherever you are in your journey to an EV. If you can make the switch to driving electric now, we're here to help. The sooner the better. If you're not ready now, can we have your support by pledging to make your next car electric? Our biggest ask really is please don't buy a new gas car. It will be on this earth emitting carbon emissions and air pollution for the next 12 to 15 years, and we have to stop doing that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm about to get my electric car this weekend.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm getting a Volvo XC40.
Nice.
Recharge. And sometimes when I walk around, I see people have stickers like, so is there anything, are there any like driving incentives? Should I call the DMV?
Yes, actually, you can go to the DMV website, and you can order a decal. It costs $22, and with that, it's an HOV decal. So you will, when you do have to put them on your car. I know they're not super attractive, but you do have to, and you'll be able to drive as a single person in the HOV lane.
Oh, great! Fantastic.
You have to wait to get your registration and license in order to apply, though.
Is that the only benefit, that I can drive in HOV as a single person? Are there any other advantages?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the state rebate is no longer in existence. They're focusing more on folks who are income qualifying, lower income folks to have really deeper discounts, and those will be coming live starting in March. But you have to apply for those in advance. Your utility, depending upon where you live, your utility might have a rebate or something going on. If you go to the savings calculator, the Plugstar savings calculator, you can find out if there's anything else that's going to be available for you. But of course, you will benefit from low maintenance costs and low cost of fueling your EV.
That I know.
And it's a beautiful car and like a really nice drive. So I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Thanks.
Any other questions? You can raise your hand or just unmute and ask a question if you have one.
Oh, could I ask one, Anika, if it's okay?
Sure.
Yeah, I put it in the chat, but I was just curious about in terms of if you're leasing an EV as opposed to owning it. I know that for ICE cars, if you lease a car, it's typically more expensive to insure. And I'm wondering if Jessica had any data or just anecdotal information about how much more it costs to insure a leased EV as opposed to an owned EV.
Jessica?
That's not something that I'm an expert in. I would go on like Geico or something, or one of those comparison tools that gives you like the free quotes and see what they say. I hadn't heard that personally, so it's not something that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, because typically if you lease a car, they want to have the full insurance on it, as opposed to pick and choose if you own. And so I was wondering if that was the case for the EV leases also.
If they have an insurance, I mean, I do know that every single contract says that you have to have insurance.
Right.
And there's a few things that that they ask for. I've never seen in a contract anything about what level of insurance that you have. So it's not something that I'm familiar with, but I would imagine that any restrictions that apply to ICE cars would also apply to EVs. But again, I would go on one of those comparison tools and see what the exact quote was for you, because that's going to give you a better answer than me.
Okay, shall do. Thank you.
I'm going to just take a quick question in the chat. Do plug-in hybrids charge their battery? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. You already got that one. Hank, do you have another question? I see your hand is raised.
No, that was it. You answered it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Barb? Do you want to unmute? Yeah. Barb, are you there? I see your hand is raised. If you have a question, will you unmute and ask your question? Okay, I can't hear anything. I see somebody, your hand is raised and it just says iPad. I don't know what your name is. Do you have a question?
This is Barb. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, I can hear you now.
I have two questions. One is, I now have a plug-in. If I get an EV, do I need to upgrade my electricity, or does the electricity that I charge my plug-in with be able to work on an EV?
Okay, so yeah, I think that's what I was looking for in the chat there. So you can use the same charger. Depending upon which car you get, most cars use the same charger that you use for your plug-in hybrid. And your utility offers all sorts of different rates. So most utilities in the Bay Area now offer time of use rates. So and they really try to discourage people from charging their cars or using any electricity from 4 to 9 p.m. because that's when we have so much use during that time. So you can
Yeah, that's not my question. I understand that I need 250 rather than 120 in order to charge an EV.
Right. I get it. I get what you're saying. Sorry. You don't need a level 2 charger. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff we go into in our EV 101 or in our other webinars, but you can just plug straight into the 120 volt outlet. In fact, we work really closely with lots of different utilities and CCAs, and the EV guy from Peninsula Clean Energy just did a study in their service area and learned that for 95% of people in their service area, plugging into a standard outlet is enough. It's called a trickle charge. It's a slow charge, but if you think about it hourly, but if you think about it like overnight or during the day, if you charge for 8 hours, you can replenish or top off what you use that day, like 40 miles in 8 hours or so.
Okay, because I always charge at 1 a.m. at the lower,
Yes, so you know all about the time of use rate.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So my second question is to Jessica. I want to, if I buy an EV, I want to sell my current Prius plug-in. Does Cartelligent buy? If I buy through you, will you take my old car?
If you buy through us, and actually even if you don't buy through us, we will happily make you an offer for your car. You can choose to accept it or you can choose to not accept it. It's typically less than what you would get if you went on Craigslist, which is, obviously a hell of a lot less work. And it's usually more than you would get if you went to a dealership. We're shopping it. We're working with multiple used car dealers to get you a great value for your car.
And my last question is that I've been trying to test drive cars, and a lot of the dealers don't have inventory to be able to test drive. Does Car Intelligent have inventory for me to be able to make a decision about what car I want?
We don't have inventory. Which car are you looking at?
Well, I've been looking at the Prius. I've been looking at the Prius plug-in. I've been looking at the Volvo electric. I've been looking at the Kia, but none of the I live in Marin, and none of the dealerships around here have cars for me to test.
Yeah, you picked some tough ones. And the Kia dealership in Marin does not have the most inventory. Toyota Prius is a tough car right now. It's kind of the exception to the rule of what I said about EVs being a better deal. The Toyota Prius Prime has not been a fantastic deal. They've been low on inventory. Toyota's been having some inventory issues on those. So, I mean, it's a perfectly good car. It's a great car. It's not one that I would recommend as like, oh, you're going to get a great deal on this one. Some of the other ones might be a little bit better. If you're interested, our team offers 100% free consultation where you can talk through what's available, what kind of pricing we're seeing, and they can give you some one-on-one guidance on it. So if you go to the link that Scott put for Ride and Drive Clean to the EV discount campaign, you don't have to pick one of the cars. Just pick that you're coming from Ride and Drive Clean. If you're not picking one of the cars that we're featuring, we'll still give you $100 off the service. And like I said, the initial call is free and it's no pressure. So it's just somebody giving you good, smart advice that knows a lot about cars.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Jessica, do you want to take that question? Why are Teslas not part of the inventory?
Tesla has dynamic pricing. So Tesla changes their prices based on market on a fairly frequent basis. And so it's not something that we're able to offer a consistent discount off MSRP for. We don't do a lot of work with Tesla. Most people who are getting a Tesla will just go directly to Tesla. So yeah, it's not a brand that we frequently work with. Like I said, they do dynamic pricing, so it just changes frequently.
Yeah, so Tesla has their own system. You can either buy a car online or you can go to their showroom and talk to them there, and they have like office, they have people set up there if that's what if you're interested. I did see this question here about how can you check battery? Gosh, where am I? Judy, are you still there? How do you evaluate the condition of the batteries on a used EV? So that's a really good question, and it's an important question. And I'll answer it briefly, but you'll want, whoever is selling this to you, you'll want to ask them to charge it all the way so that when you go and look at it, you can see, you'll know what the expected range is supposed to be, and you can see what the true range is if they charge it all the way. You should expect with a used EV some battery degradation. So if your EV came with, for example, my first EV had a 240-mile range, but after 4 years it had a 226-mile range. So after you've driven it a certain amount, you should expect some degradation, not a huge amount. I mean, typically we say between 10 and 15% after 8 to 10 years driving it. So you'll want to, check that, but also if you can take it on a test drive for, I've asked a couple of dealerships this, so I have a little bit of information. You can ask them if you can drive it for 20 miles and try to drive it in perfect conditions without using the AC, without using the heater, not going up and down lots of hills. And if you're on a freeway, don't go over 60, just kind of ideal conditions. And you can see what the odometer says and then drive 20 miles and see how accurate that is. So those are different ways. I would recommend if you buy a car, all EVs come with an 8-year warranty. So that should be passed along to you. And if you buy a used EV that's that's like older, I would say older than 5 or 6 years, I would recommend getting an additional warranty just in case. And really, the most important thing that the warranty is for is the battery.
Thank you.
Yeah. I see there are some more questions here in the chat. Paul, do you have a question? Thanks.
Yes, yeah.
Definitely.
Can you?
Yeah.
So I just want to be sure that the current that these discount campaigns that you have, are they just for people who live in Marin, or are they for anybody who's connected with you or car intelligent or aware of them? It's open to everybody. In other words, your discount.
It's open to everybody in California. I will give you the caveat that we have 4 pickup locations, so 4 delivery centers. One is in Sausalito, which is obviously very convenient if you're in Marin. One is in Menlo Park, one is in Walnut Creek, and one is in Irvine.
Okay.
So if you don't live near one of those areas, that is a little bit of it can be a little bit of a hike. But if you're near one of those areas, and a lot of people are, then that works out.
Okay, thanks. And then you said that the service fee is free for this campaign, this discount campaign. Is that correct?
As long as you're getting one of the cars that's featured.
I see. Okay.
So if you want any other car, we're happy to help you. We'll get you a great price. It's just that we've worked with Ride and Drive Clean, and so we feature these select cars, and we add the additional value of waiving our service fee for these select cars.
Okay, great. And then you mentioned, my last question is, you mentioned that you can pay off the lease at any point in time if you do the lease. Is that a problem with dealerships? Or have you had issues with that? Is that something that can be done with?
I mean, you don't pay off the lease with the dealership. You pay off the lease with the leasing bank.
the bank?
And so it's actually really easy. All you do is you call them up and you say, hey, I'd like to pay off my lease. Will you give me a 10-day payoff letter? They'll send you the amount. You send them a certified check for the amount, and boom, you own the car. The only caveat with that is if you're getting the 7,500 EV discount, which is obviously one of the main reasons you would lease and then pay it off, you do need to wait 6 months. So I said anytime, but anytime after 6 months is the truer answer.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
I'm going to take Norma's question just about the warranty. So most automakers have an 8 to 10 year warranty or 100,000 miles, and that's a requirement from the U.S. government. I will just say one thing that's kind of an interesting, I know a lot of people in the chat were interested in used EVs. So the Chevy Bolt is an interesting case for a used EV because there was a recall recently, about 1 or 2 years ago. And so there are many available on the used market for decent pricing. And in order to sell a used Chevy Bolt that was on the recall, they had to replace the battery. So you might be able to get an older model Chevy Bolt with a brand new battery almost, and then you would have a new warranty, 7 or 8 years. So that's an interesting case that's quite unique. Sean, I've seen your hand has been raised for a while. Thanks for being patient.
I just had a quick question. The best way to get a quote from Cartelligent, should I just call them, or is there an online forum?
You need to sign up on the, Scott, could you put that in the chat again? You do need to go to the Ride and Drive Clean website. We have a special, there's a link that Scott just put in there.
Okay.
To save money, and you click on EV discount, you'll come to this form. So you'll scroll down about halfway down the form and sign up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I do want to invite you all to come back for one of the other EV webinars. I'm sharing my screen right now, Scott, so I can't put our events page in there, but can you put our the link to our events page in case you want some more in-depth information? Lots of people come to several webinars because there's a lot of information to take in. And, I'll be sharing the slideshow with you. Thank you so much, Scott. So take a look at some other webinars that we have going, and we do a little bit, of a deeper dive into, how to EV ownership. Let's see. Do you know how to buy a used EV from a rental company? I know Hertz is selling a bunch. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. Oh, with the Yeah, Jennifer, do you, sorry, sorry, Jessica, do you see Jennifer's question? With the other cars you have available, what's the actual deal outside of the federal incentives? We have additional cars listed on the website that there are also good, there's also good pricing on, I think.
Oh, yeah. So we don't have a fixed discount off those cars. Those are just cars that we're getting good values on. And so we're happy to talk to you about what you're looking for and what we're seeing in the market. But we don't have pre-negotiated pricing on those. Those are ones that we have a number of dealers that we work with and we're getting below market pricing on them, but it's just not that. This fixed discount off MSRP is something that we only do with the Ride and Drive Clean partnership. And it's because we're able to go to the dealerships and say, do you want to participate? We have numerous people who are getting these specific cars. And so it's a unique situation for us, but we can absolutely help you. And those are all cars that we're getting great values on.
And Jessica,
and also it is $100 off of our service fee from as long as you're coming from Ride and Drive Clean and you're getting an EV.
So Jim has a question. Are the lease discounts often available for the cars not on the February list, which are also not on the federally approved list?
Like, yes, almost every manufacturer is offering the 7,500 as part of the lease. I can't think of any off the top of my head that aren't. Doesn't mean that there aren't any, but the vast majority of manufacturers, it's a weird loophole. It's a weird way that the law was written. And I'm not complaining because it'll allows us to help people get really great prices on cars that they wouldn't be able to get that discount on.
Let's see. There are any other questions? Paul, do you have another question?
Yeah, I do. I was wondering if the campaign discount that you're doing now, does it stack with any other incentives we would be able to qualify for through the state? And
yes, absolutely. As well as if there's an additional incentive, such as like a loyalty incentive, like some manufacturers will give you an extra incentive if you own certain cars. You can these stack with anything else.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And again, I would recommend using that plug savings calculator to find out exactly which incentives you qualify for. Because there are some based on income and you'll want to, and I also want to just point out for the federal tax credit, in this case, if you were to purchase the Volkswagen ID4, there are income limits on that. So if you file jointly, for example, you can't earn more than $300,000, but you do not have to have any tax liability to qualify for that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Can I ask a funny question?
Yeah.
So, as I'm becoming the new owner of one, and I'm looking at where, if I can't charge it in my home, where can I charge it? Like these public places and garages. Like I've been to two, and I'm like, I'm getting my electric car. Where can I bring it here? And he says, well, we have 4 chargers, but 3 don't work. And I mean, most of these places, they allow you to charge for free. How does that? What's been your experience?
Jessica, do you know if there's a deal? You're just getting the Volvo, right?
Yeah, and I think some dealerships will give some free charging, but mine.
I don't think Volvo has one right now. I don't think Volvo's offering free charging.
No, I'm not getting free charging. I'm not getting free charging.
So it would be paid charging or free charging. I mean, there are places that offer free charging. And yeah, some of them are a little bit limited. There's a couple of Volta chargers at my local Costco that I've never been able to use because they're busy every single time I go. I personally recommend if you well, I'm sure Android has it too, but if you go to Apple Maps and you type in fast EV charger, it will show you all of the fast EV chargers near you. And that's just a great way to make sure that you're getting one that's a 350 or higher and not one of the ones that's like a super slow trickle charger that's going to take 4 hours to charge your car.
Is it your experience if you take it to a garage that you pay for that there'll be free charging there? Or airport?
I honestly never park in a paid garage. I do 99% of my charging at the Electrify America station by the Safeway by my house. And that works out really good for me.
Uh-huh.
So Heidi, I can talk a little bit about that. So the standard app or website to use is called PlugShare. That's been sort of like the industry standard to find where you can find local EV chargers that are close to your workplace, and you can actually map out a road trip using this app and using the website, so you know a little bit in advance how that's going to be. A little bit of good news that's coming down. And first of all, I do want to encourage you to come to one of our EV 102 webinars. That's a webinar for new owners where we do a deep dive on how to take a road trip, how to sign up for the right electricity rates and all that stuff. So definitely recommend that you come to one of those webinars. And we go through, we kind of walk through the PlugShare app and how to set up the filters so that you can make sure you're finding the EV chargers that you want. The other thing is that the Volvo might have a navigation. In their navigation, they might have
It does.
it does. That's a great way to find chargers as well. The good news is that almost every single so there have been some issues with some of the fast charging stations in terms of reliability, and I have a Volkswagen e-Golf that I drive that I charge at a variety of charging stations. Sometimes you arrive and it's crowded. You may have to wait a little bit, or sometimes they're broken. I also have a Tesla, and they have a much higher reliability in terms of charging. And the good news about that is that almost every single manufacturer is going to be moving toward the Tesla charging adapter we call it NACS, the North American Charging System. So the Volvo will be providing an adapter so that you can use the Tesla supercharging network, which is really easy to find, very easy to use, and reliable.
Yeah.
And they're building lots of new supercharging stations. And then, for those of you, and then once starting in 2025, they'll be building that Tesla port right into the cars. So it'll be a seamless experience. So it's important to make sure that that you have access to reliable charging. And so we're moving in that right direction, I think, as a country sort of adopting this national standard.
I thought range anxiety was going to be the only anxiety. Now I've got like new parent anxiety.
You'll be good. It's fine. Do you have access to charge to a 120 volt outlet at home?
Well, I have 240. I have 240 at home.
Oh,
just
so
when I'm not at home. I just think when I'm not at home.
You're just talking about when you're not at home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You'll probably be doing like 80 to 90% of your charging at home if you have access at home.
Right.
And then just use PlugShare or Google or Apple in order to find chargers on the road.
I did learn one thing, which I thought once I had the 240 all installed, that I could just order a converter. I got a charge point, but then it says, no, you need a licensed electrician to install it. So I was a little disappointed. I have to get an electrician back to install it. So,
I mean, I know there's a variety of chargers. Some of them you can just buy at like Best Buy or Costco, Walmart kind of thing, or you could buy them online. That's what a lot of people do. And you just need the electrician to put in the outlet, a 120 or a 240 outlet.
Yeah, they go, when I got the converter, they said, even if you have a 240 ready to go, you need a licensed electrician to install this,
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm seeing a question just to me, any incentive for buying out leased cars at the end of the term? I'm going to let you take that one, Jessica.
If you're buying it yourself, I'm not that great at the used tax credit. My understanding is that you can get the used car credit because you aren't technically the original owner. The manufacturing, the leasing bank is the original owner, but I'm not a tax professional, and I don't do a lot of used cars. So that's my understanding, but I would ask somebody who knows more about it than I do.
Yeah. So in addition, so you'll use PlugShare to find out where the chargers are. And then you do need to get the apps on your phone. Or sign up with them. So Electrify America, EVgo, ChargePoint are the most common ones. I have all of those on my phone. It makes it super easy. With ChargePoint, I have it on my Apple Wallet. So when I when I arrive at a charging station, I just double click on my phone, click the ChargePoint tile, and I get connected very quickly and easily. With EVgo, you can also get a little card. It looks like a little credit card to an RDIF reader. I don't know what that's called. But you hold it up to the charging station so you can get connected.
NFC.
NFC. Thank you. Thank you, Scott, of course, our tech expert. So for me, I find the apps to be pretty reliable. For many of the charging stations, you can use a credit card. Sometimes not as reliable, so the apps seem to be the way to go. The other thing is if you get the apps, Electrify America and all those apps, you'll get discounted charging. It's cheaper to use the apps and charge than to use a credit card. And finally, most of these charging networks offer like discounts. Like if you're using their service for most of your charging, I would recommend this. But I think like with Electrify America, if you pay $5 a month, you get very discounted electricity when you charge. So it's good to look into those. But I also think it's good to, when you're on a road trip, it's good to have them all on your phone so that you don't have to be figuring this out when you're on the road already. You want to like hook up your credit card and everything so the payment is seamless for you. Judy, I see a question. You have your hand raised.
Yes, I am leasing an XC40 and on a 3-year lease, and the lease is up at the beginning of July. So I'm thinking of getting another electric car, maybe another Volvo. And so I've signed up with Cartelligent to have, to talk with them. Is that the best way to go?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got two options with Lease End. As I mentioned, you can buy it out at any point, and one of the services that we offer is that we can buy it out for you. And so in many cases, we're able to do that without you having to come out of pocket. That's something that we'd have to do some analysis of your car and all of that. But it may be an option where we buy out your lease for you, and then you get into the new car and you just don't have to make your last however many months of payments. The other option is you just wait. And if you're getting another Volvo, for example, you can even special order exactly what you want because you've got 3 months out. And that can be a way to save money as well. So the options are buy it out and wait. I'm sorry, buy it out and get a new car now, or wait until the lease is up and get a new car then.
Jessica, I know I'm getting a Volvo, and they said I can get out of my lease 6 months before it ends if I re-up to a different lease.
That's another option. So Volvo, many times if you're staying with the same brand, they'll do something called a lease pull ahead, where they'll just waive the last few payments, and that's absolutely something that we can help with as well.
Yes,
it's also possible. I don't know what your deal was. It's also possible they were going to buy your car because they thought that it was a good value and they were just going to pay it off and sell it normally. But we can help you explore all those options.
Yeah, because I've been getting offers for the pull ahead lease, but I don't know enough about all that stuff.
Yeah. A lot of times they will waive if you are sticking with the same brand, but we can help you with all those options. And yeah, Volvos are great cars.
I love it. It's just the range of this XC40. I'd like a little longer.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Jim, I don't know if you're still on this call. Let's see. I know you're looking at getting a charging station installed. Another option that you have, it looks like you have a 2-car garage. If you have a dryer there, You can get a smart splitter and use that same 240 outlet that you use for your dryer. I just wanted to bring that up in case that's available to you. And yes, I understand the ports are in all different places. So you might want to wait and, again, we recommend that everybody just start with 120. Just plug it into a standard outlet, and test it out to see if that works for you, unless you drive more than 40 or 50 miles a day regularly. So if you have access to a standard outlet, that's a good way to get started. I know when we first got our EV, we just had a long grounded extension cord from like the back of our house to our side yard. That's how we rolled for like a year. And then once we got our second EV, we decided to get a 240 volt outlet installed, since we needed to do another one anyway. So I hope that helps, Jim. Yeah, you may want to wait until you have get the car that you so that you know where the charger is going to be, charging port.